to order?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order, and the roll call will show all conference are present. Ben is on Zoom.
Ben, can you hear us?
Here, Ben?
All right, he's muted.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ed.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I have for our first agenda item 2.1, I have CT Access here. Specifically, I have Mr. Scott Hirschfield and Mr. Tom Wellenbeck, and they're here to talk to you about their company and more specifically the Laserfish software. Scott and Tom, I just want to give you guys a preface. You'll have 30 minutes to talk about your product, at which point if you're still talking after 30 minutes, unfortunately, I will have to kick you out promptly and let on the next vendor. So you can start whenever you're ready.
That sounds good. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. So happy to be presenting to you guys. I'm Scott Hirschfeld, the president of CT Access, and I've got Tom Whalenbeck on the line as well, our primary business analyst. And I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of a few slides for you, and then we're going to jump into showing you a little bit about the product. And we're going to try to leave enough time at the end to answer some questions. So first of all, CT Access, we started in 1990. We're headquartered here in Wisconsin and serve the Midwest mostly. We're a multiple-time Laserfish Winter Circle Award, and we do a lot of government work, but also some areas, nonprofit, case management, manufacturing, and some other areas. A moment on our values. I'm not going to read these all off, but we really try to operate by these things, and we hope as you do business with us, you'll see that we are very customer-centric and focused on people, even though we're a technology company. Laserfish is the provider of the product. We're what you call a solution provider. So we're the feet on the street that actually deliver the product and make it work. Laserfish started in about 1985. They've been a privately held industry leader for 35 plus years, about 6 million users worldwide, 9,000 organizations, and 500 resellers and partners. So a pretty good ecosystem of, in that Laserfish area. And Laserfish is recognized by analysts and trusted by customers. There's some newer stats here actually that just came out, but they put Laserfish in the same category, in the leader category, all the way in the upward right. Both Nucleus and Gartner do. And they're also rated very high on Gartner's Peer Insights, which is customers reviewing Laserfish. So 4.6, 4.7 on the Gartner Peer Insights site. And that's it for the slides. We're going to move on to let Tom demo a few things to you.
Great, thanks, Scott. How's my screen? Do you need me to blow it up? Can everybody read it?
It is a little small. If you could blow it up just a little bit.
Sure thing. How's that? Is that better?
Like okay to you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So just a quick overview. This is a demo I'm going to be providing inside the Laserfish cloud environment. So right now we're in the repository. The repository is basically where all your files would be held in. We're going to be going over a few things today, which is how to basically get documents in, whether that's scanning or other quick methods, indexing, searching, document retention, and we're going to also be talking about the public portal. So we're going to start off with scanning. First off, right off the bat, there's some pretty quick ways you can get documents in. Even though it is browser and cloud, you can directly interface with it through your Windows Explorer, and you can simply drop files into the system, in which case it sort of interfaces with that, gives you a pop-up window telling you if you want to change anything about it, in which case you could just choose some things like if you wanted color, black and white, things like that, and then you can import. Upon doing that, it automatically will do the indexing for you. Every word on every page is searchable from across the repository. And you saw that it didn't take very long to do that. It was able to pull out all the words off that document, and then you're able to search across that from across the repository. But it does come with other tools. I'm not going to go into all of them because there's actually a lot of different ways. It's very flexible. There's automated ways to bring it in from emails. There's tools that can live on a server, and anything you scan in from a network scanner can be automatically brought into the cloud as well. But in this case, will just go through how you could take a scanner from like a USB scanner from your computer and use the scanning tool to sort of bring documents in. And you could simply do that by clicking the scan button up here. Upon doing that, it's going to open up this scanning utility, in which case you can have some things automatically being done for you right off the bat. For instance, you can have it kind of grab the user that's scanning this, and you can also timestamp and put that in the name of the document when it hits the repository. So that way, once it's in the repository, if you're going to do something else with it, you can automatically have that, timestamped, and you can see who entered that very easily. On top of that, you can also put page separation in there. So it's very bulk scan friendly. So say you have a scanner that can load like 50 pages at a time, and they're all 1, 2, 3 page documents. You could just simply click this button, and you could say, okay, let's create a new document for every 1, 2, 3 pages or what have you, automatically. You could just scan that whole stack in at one time. There's ways to do it in variable ways too, and I'll just briefly touch on that. Essentially, what you could do is there's also image processing enhancements you could put on. So you can clear up the image, you can resize the image to make sure that even if the scanning options aren't there, Laserfish Scanning has you covered. So even if you're using a lower quality scanner, there's all these different enhancements you can apply. Sorry if this is a little bit smaller. I don't have the same way of blowing it up as the browser, but essentially lots of tools you can use to kind of improve your scanning. One thing to note is this will also OCR the document, pull off the text, and as you push it into the repository. But you can also do things like make sure it's always face the right direction with deskew. Always make sure that it's rotated the right way. So even if you put it upside down, it's always going to be facing the right direction. And then also a big one for those variable scans I mentioned earlier, it does have detection for blank pages that you could throw on. So if you have, blank paint, you could just remove all those blank pages from your scanning as well. So there's ways you can set it up so that you can do bulk scanning very easily. So that's just kind of how you can get documents in kind of a nutshell. From that indexing, that searching, as I mentioned, it applies to all the documents. So if I were to quick search something like, scanning, I'm sure I've talked about scanning before, or there's documents on scanning in here. If I look at this, just running that quick search, you could see that it pulled off the word scanned inside these context hits down below. One thing to note too, this is a video. So if I were to click on this video, it actually notated where it found the word scanning inside of this video as well. So for instance, in this case, this is a recent training I did with a city in which, I talked about scanning. It's actually able to pull up all the context. It looks like I said the word scanning 26 times in my training. This is something that's just done automatically. So a common use case for something like that for this transcript and searching is, city council agenda meetings. If you record those and you have that on your repository, what you could do is you can have it so that it automatically, gets uploaded to your cloud environment. And then, if you have a public portal or something like that, you can have that so that citizens can actually view the agenda, and they can also search it very easily. So like I could just click through and it'll take me to the spots of the video in which case that scanning was mentioned. So there's some really cool built-in capabilities with that. Same can be said if you're searching for like addresses. You know, if I search like Main Street, and these are just the quick search, there's also an advanced search. But just searching Main Street, I'm able to pull up anywhere that Main Street was found in this situation. So it's a very powerful tool, and as you can see, it's also works very quickly. You know, even if you have like terabytes of data, you're still going to have quick searches like this, where it's going to pull up that information for you. So, yeah. As far as that goes, if you are looking to do some more, you know, advanced searching, what you could do is there are what's called search filters here. It allows more capability to do more advanced searches. So for instance, if I click this add filter button, there's all sorts of different modules for searching I can add in to search basically whatever I need. And then if you find a search that you're looking for that you commonly use, you can always save and load it. You could send that saved search to other people so that they can kind of find it too. One example of this would be, you know, say I have city council minutes and I'm commonly searching by that. You know, maybe I want to build a search around, so this is like any city council minute that has the fields on it for city council minutes. It'll actually pull up this data into the columnized view for you so that you could filter and sort accordingly. So like if I want to sort by meeting type, I just click that. And no matter where these documents are stored, searching brings it all under one roof, so that even if it's something that you're searching for that's living in multiple locations in the repository, searching is a great way to pull that all under one roof. In which case you could do a lot with that, whether it's generating reports, you know, doing all sorts of stuff. Once you have it searched in this folder, you can interact with multiple documents, or, you know, all of them at the same time. So if I wanted to customize the search even more, I can, you know, do a common one would be, you know, maybe date. So maybe I'm looking for, you know, date. We've sent this, it was in the past like 60 days. You know, I could run that search and pull me, you know, the most recent 60 days of, you know, council minutes. So you could do this with all different types of documents. It does not have to be city council minutes. We do and work with all sorts of different document types. We help build and create them and help you organize your information as well. So there's lots of things you could do, like contracts as well. You know, you could store your documents for contracts and, you know, pull them up that way. So all sorts of different things you could do with searching. As far as records retention goes, this is actually a really fleshed out feature from Laserfish. They've been developing for many years. One example of this, let me just go to a spot in the repository where I have some records. If I go to, like, say, for instance, like human resources, say you want to set up records retention for either documents in general or just like specific document classes. Human resources, say, for instance, there's, you know, like tax documents or something like that. Tax documents, they have a life cycle. You know, you might only need to keep them, you know, 7 years. You could set up your retention schedules very easily. So if I wanted to create a living, breathing record cycle for all these documents that are in this spot in the repository, any tax document gets filed into human resources, it can automatically apply this cutoff instruction for you. So what you could do is you can create your cutoff instructions by name, give it a friendly name so you know what it is. And then when you're creating your, when you're designating your areas of the repository where these cutoff instructions and retention schedules exist, you simply just go to this records tab, and then you could select the cutoff instructions and the retention schedules appropriately that you set up. So you can customize it however you need. Essentially, the cutoff instructions, it's like, okay, the cutoff instruction for this one, end of employment. Once they're done being employed, then we'll retain this document for 7 years, then we'll archive it. But as you can see, I can always change this to be, okay, maybe we want to retain 5 years, then destroy. I can also create another one that says, retain 5 years, then archive. There's all sorts of different things you could do here. There could also be exceptions to the rule. Like you might have documents that go into this file cycle, and there are exceptions to the rule. You can mark certain documents, like say, for instance, like maybe this one I want to mark as a permanent record. I would be able to do that. And then even if I have it set as a document that is being destroyed, anything that you mark as a permanent record will, supersede the destruction event. There's also different ways you can destroy a document, such as you could destroy the actual document, but you can keep the document's metadata in your system. So that way you have bare minimum information about that document, but you have the important information without, using up all the space associated with the documents. So if space is, something that you're fighting for, even though there's, it's readily available to you, you're able to destroy it in different ways, things like that. On top of that, there is a very full-fledged public portal that's available to you as well. Now, public portal is something that can be set up really easily. Well, essentially what it does is you could designate spots or files in the repository that could be hosted to the public, meaning they don't need an authorized licensed user to access them. They can, as a public user, just go to a link and view the document, and they would be able to find what they're looking for and interact with it without being able to edit it, which we don't want public, editing documents. So essentially, how to do that, it's very simple. If, say, for instance, if I wanted to, come here and go to the city of Townsville, and I want to mark public records for the public, and I wanted to, push this off so that the public can access it, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is you have to add the public portal user to this, and then they would then be able to see anything that's in this public records folder or any subfolder, and you can always change, the scope of that to, maybe you don't want all the subfolders and documents, maybe you just want, certain things in this folder. So you can always change that as you need to. Some examples of that, I have a few pulled up, but this is kind of like, we're going to start with like a bare bones example. This is City of South Bend. They have a pretty bare bones setup to this, where they just have spots set up to the public where they can access the public portal. You can click in and you can see their documents, and you can pull them up and open them pretty easily. So for instance, like here is, PDF of theirs. On top of that, if you go to their homepage, they also have links you can set up ahead of time as well, so that it's easier for citizens to access each of these file types, all these document classes that they have set up. On top of that, the powerful search I mentioned earlier, you can also search the documents, text, anything that's marked as public, they would be able to also search just like you would be able to inside the repository as an authorized user. So that's more of a simple approach. There's another city I have as an example for this. This is La Quinta in California. They have, they did a little bit more with their, public portal. Tons of links based off the document types, have it nice and organized. The nice thing I wanted to show about this too is not only can you just click and see what the document types are, and it'll take you right to that. And then say if I wanted to open up this meeting, I'd be able to see this file. I could search the document. I could use this document in a read-only state, just like I would be able to if I was in Laserfish by like searching. But also, the nice thing about it is if I were to, let's go back here to their main website. The nice thing is you can have this on your website as well, and you can have custom links that tie back to your website. So for instance, they have city council meeting videos. So it actually would take a link back to their website. So it's very easy to integrate with your city website. Not only can you have links on your website that take you to the public portal, but then on the public portal, you can always tie them back to your website very easily as well. So to do that, I have the public portal designer pulled up here. Very simple to use. You could choose your color scheme. You can upload your city logo, and then it could pop it up at the top for them to use so that they know where they are. And then all those custom links and things like that that I showed, you can add them on this page here. You can just simply say, okay, that spot I put as a public record, let's go to that. We did City Townsville, public records. So maybe we want to put that file, all these folders inside public records and put that inside the public portal as a link. Now I just did that right there. So if I save, now next time they go to the public portal, they would see, public records link and they can click it. I already have a property records link separately as well. And then on top of that, something that I didn't see those two cities doing is you can also build searching forms. So if you remember how I search for the template for the city council minutes, this is an example where they can have a link to a form, in which case they can search by the fields on the agenda. You can customize this however you need to. Essentially, they could search by the date, so they can give a date range. So if I were to use this as a test here, I could say, give me anything from 2015 July 1st for the date, and then submit, and then it would run that search, and then I could say like when it was opened or closed, things like that, and then it would pop back with those results. Okay. So with that said, if you ever want to look more into the public portal, it's very easy to find more cities, and what they're doing. You could simply search Google, quote, powered by Laserfish and city. There's tons of examples of cities that leave that flavor text on there. And those cities, you could see and click into each one of them if you want to see how they're utilizing Laserfish. Even if it's something that you're looking to set up a folder structure for yourself, honestly, a lot of the cities, want to operate in a similar fashion. They have a like-minded, how they want to store files. If you are looking to sort of revamp how you're storing your documents, this is a great way to kind of get a eye into the lens of how other cities are doing, at least their public documents, and do that. And if you have more questions on setting up documents or things like that, we have tons of templates for cities that we can help you set up and organize your documents as well. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions about Laserfish or us or anything like that?
This is Nick Taylor. I just had a question in terms of like the city user. How does this interact with like assistive technology or any individuals who might need like a screen reader or anything like that?
It's a great question. So there are accessibility settings in Laserfish. If you guys want, I could send you kind of like a white paper that Laserfish laid out on all the accessibility options. But yeah, I think it's what's the ADA accessible. It follows all the guidelines for that. So everything has like the alt text. So if you are using a screen reader, when you hover over something and if they're vision impaired, when they hover over it, it'll read that because they have the meta text on the HTML, so that when they hover over it, it'll read out what it's saying, things like that. There's also contrast colors you could put on too. But I know a lot of we actually have some customers that are work with vision impaired and are vision impaired, and so we're kind of familiar with that. And a lot of those also have like browser extensions that help with that as well for color matching colors and making it easier for them too. But it works with that. And since it's a browser, since it's in a browser, you can get access to all the extensions, and it makes it nice and easy for everybody, and it's able to connect to a lot of different applications and integrate with that.
Yep, thank you.
So I check if Ben is on remote, is he gonna be able to,
Yes.
did you have anything, Ben? I'll check with you first.
I do not. I like the layout of it. I think you did a great job presenting that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Either one of you have a,
No, I don't.
I do not know.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I just ask a couple of questions that would be
Go
useful
ahead.
to have answered for you guys that might actually help staff and kind of helps direct the things that we will use this for? So one of my questions is Outlook integration. So one of the things that has been presented in some various different formats is when we get, say, a permit or something in a PDF in to our Outlook email, we can automatically scan and index it straight from Outlook. Are we able to do that with your program?
Yes, there's something called a Laserfish Office integration. So not only can you do that with Outlook, where you can have your email selected, you can bring in the email with the attachments as a single Laserfish entry. You can actually click a button separately for bring it in as just bring the attachments in, just the email message. So there's different buttons for everything. You could even set a default folder for email imports, but it also works for all Office products. So it's an Office integration completely, and it will allow you to do that in Excel, Word, things like that as well, directly without having to leave the document.
Okay. And then are you able to integrate with other programs such as our building permitting program is Community Core? Are you able to integrate and access Community Core documents and get them scanned and indexed into your system?
So
Easily?
there's,
Go
ahead, Scott.
Tom.
Okay, I'll do it.
Just going to say, as far as I know, there's no direct integration with that product already built. However, Laserfish can be customized to integrate with other APIs, and it can also do some things that allow it to interact with the product even without any custom integration. For instance, you can print things directly out of a product into Laserfish. You can drop files to a folder that will be pulled into Laserfish, and there is a connector tool that you could also use to screen integrate, but there's nothing pre-built to integrate with that particular building permit package.
Sorry, quick questions. We have a GIS mapping program, property records, that we retain through our 2 counties. Are you able to integrate your system with the county records so we can download things like property addresses as they update, PIDs as they update, things like that?
Is it Esri or another package?
If I can interrupt, one of them is Esri and one of them is, Stacy, what is the company that Sherman County uses?
Beacon.
Beacon, yes.
They should be based.
I think that was.
So there is a Esri integration. I could get you the details on that. And there are also a couple third-party Esri integrations that you can purchase separately as well. And we do have some clients using those third-party integrations as well.
So you do have the integration capability, just additional cost?
Right.
Yes, Beacon is Esri based.
Yeah, I thought that was. When you were talking about your search, you have a very vast way of searching. I think that's pretty common with most of the products, which I like that. However, in some cases, I just want to make sure it's not too broad. So say hypothetically, I'm looking for 1014 Main Street, because you use Main Street as an example. Is that going to pull every single thing that's 101 and or Main Street, or do you have a way to narrow that search down to pull one record?
Yeah, so by default, when you're searching multiple, words, each space will treat as an or statement, but if you just wrap things around with quotes in your search, it will make it search exactly what you're looking for. So if you type, the full address, it will, search that exact address.
And it'll only pull that exact address, right?
Only that, yes, yep. Or documents related to that address at least, yeah.
Think you're
The
about,
run up.
I know, so that's my thought. I just wanted to ask questions that would pertain to.
No, that's.
We have a minute left.
you guys have,
I have the same question.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, bye.
Yep, we have one with Dominic here, and I'll ask him if he's got anybody else joining us. There we go. Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I have Dominic Austin, right? Yes, and Adam Rolls. I think I butchered. Checks.
Close enough.
Hi, guys.
They are the value-added reseller for DocuWare, and I will hand it over to them. Adam and Dominic, you have 30 minutes. And I'll cut you off promptly at the end if you go over. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know Ed has asked us to be here to help go over the DocuWare solution that the city is potentially looking at. I know today we kind of had a quick agenda to go through. We'll probably have Adam just share his screen, and then we can kind of jump into that. So Adam, if you want to get that going. So this is the brief overview of what we wanted to go through today. As Ed said, my name's Dominic Osting. I am the local rep. I live just over in St. Cloud. So, and then Adam, he is our solutions DocuWare specialist. And actually in the background here, we also have.
Oh, what to do?
Muted that one.
So, hang on a
Hang on,
second.
sorry.
Hold on.
You got muted.
You got muted.
I think one is echoing off the other.
Hey, Dominic, can you, or Adam, can you unmute your mic?
Yep, there we go.
There is a little bit of reverb in the background. Just a heads up.
Okay, they get an extra minute.
Yep, I
I
paused it.
think that's around.
Okay, go ahead, guys.
Oh,
One second.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yep.
yep.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So we can, yeah, we'll get that screen reshared. So kind of the first things we want to go through is just the value we feel we bring as Metro Sales and DocuWare. And then some of those key points that Ed wanted to make sure we touched on is how this would really help the city with your paper process. So Adam, if you want to click to the next slide. So this first slide, really the why MSI and DocuWare. Before I jump into that, I just want to ask all of the council members, I guess, is there anything in particular that would be especially helpful today for us to cover? I know Ed had given us those couple of points. Is there anything myself and Adam can help present or talk over to help in general in this decision process for you?
No, I think we just want a quick summary of the 4 items, and then some questions after you're done.
Okay, that sounds great. Do you think it would be helpful to see just a really quick demonstration of the software?
Yeah, if you could maybe kind of do that with those points.
Okay, yeah, what we'll do then is I'll have Adam just share a screen. We can do a quick 5-minute one and just kind of go through what a generic process would look like. I know the city staff had seen that, so I think it would be beneficial. But before I get to that, so some of the main reasons I think working with Metro Sales and DocuWare would be beneficial. The first one is really a local team. We are here in the state. Like I said, I live and work in St. Cloud. Our DocuWare team is based largely out of Burnsville, so we're within an hour if anything is ever needed at the city. All of our professional services are done in-house, so Metro Sales doesn't farm anything out to, DocuWare Direct or a third party. Everything is done internally with our own engineers and staff. That isn't typically the case with a lot of softwares. Oftentimes you buy something and then that reseller kind of ships it out to somebody else to do that work for you. So just that relationship is never really built. Easily scalable. I know this was something we went over with the staff, so we're kind of getting into it, just more of the ingest, scanning, storage and retrieval to start, but there sounded like there was a desire down the road to expand on that, to use it for, potentially maybe forms or other avenues. And that's very easy to do with DocuWare. When you have DocuWare, you have all of DocuWare. You don't get nickel and dimed or having to pay for additional modules for those features. The only thing, if you ever did want to do that you would need us for, pay additional for, would be simply our time to assist with setting it up. Nothing else on top of that. And then tailored to your needs. So this site is really the nice thing with DocuWare. It's very customizable. We're building this to the city's needs. We're not giving you a set package and saying good luck. Hopefully it works for what you need. This is going to be built directly how the city needs it to work. So, any questions on that? Otherwise, I can have Adam kind of do a quick demonstration, and then we can hit on a couple of those bullet points.
What do you mean that it would be built for our needs?
So with a lot of softwares in general, and Adam can help me here too, those softwares, you kind of get a cookie cutter version of it. So how the software is built, you have to work within that. So, there's certain workflows and certain features, and they're not customizable. How they come is how you're going to have to learn to use them. Where with DocuWare, we sit down, we have a meeting with you, we figure out, okay, how do you want this to flow? How does this work best for your organization? And we can build it accordingly. So it's really what works best for you, not what works best for the software. And then you figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, with what we discussed as a phase one, and we showed the team there, just being able to set up all of the different bits of information you want to capture off of all your documents, all of those kind of things, all of that would be exactly as to what they wanted, to make sure that we're capturing and being able to do everything you exactly need.
Yeah, I think, Adam, it might make sense just to do a quick demonstration then, just so everybody can see how it works, and then we can kind of go through that afterwards of what each of those bullet points are all about.
Okay, so with DocuWare here, the interface is web-based, accessible to anywhere you need to get to it. On the left side, we have a document tray where new documents are ingested. We can do that in a lot of different ways. We can connect your Outlook email to have a button where you can automatically store emails and their attachments, either or. We can connect all of your scanners so that when you drop something on the scanner or a stack of documents on the scanner, that can be ingested right into your new document tray here in DocuWare, as well as the classic drag and drop. We can bring those in any way that you need to bring in documents. I know a lot of your biggest first phase is scanning documents in, so we can make that as easy as possible for you to do.
Yeah, and just on this note, I know it's another project down the road, but that scanning piece, we do a lot of that back scanning internally too. So the nice thing, if we were to work with you on the scanning and DocuWare, we would be able to set that entire pathway up. We'd be able to keep everything internal, locked down, and really clean. There really just be one company to deal with on that, and we could handle it pretty much from start to finish.
So when we bring in documents here, we can open those up. On the right allows you to page through documents, split documents, make annotations, anything like that. That's where the bulk of your looking up documents and information goes. And then with DocuWare, with most cities, you have a number of different digital file cabinets where things can go. So from here is where you can sort it into the different areas where you might be storing it, or you might need to set access levels for different people. So with a council document like this, I can go ahead and hit store. What you'll see on the left, that is part of that tailorable customization we talked about, having those different things that you want to immediately capture with the documents in DocuWare. So DocuWare also character recognizes everything that's typed within a document. So not only can we capture this information from it, but we can also full text search it. But with DocuWare, this information here that we're capturing on the left side, what it's going to do is it's actually going to learn your document. So if I store a city council minutes that looks like this, after about 3 times of storing this, it's going to automatically fill in all this information. As you see, it has noted that it's a meeting minutes and it's city council. So I've partially trained 1 or 2 of these documents. So with the pieces that are missing, say the date here, all I'm doing in DocuWare is going like this, swiping that characters, and it's going to fill in and put that in, as well as train it to where that is in the document, allowing you to easily capture that with no data entry, no mistyping, anything like that. Once I hit store, that puts it away into the digital file cabinet, allows us to now be able to access those, and whoever needs access to them, get to them. Like those store dialogues, we can have different amounts of searchability for different users. So in this case, if I wanted to open up council documents or maybe city projects here, I can start to type in my different items here into these boxes and be able to search. So if I want to find any project budget, I can search for that. If I wanted to filter that down by dates, or I wanted to do anything like that, it's going to allow me to really quickly find and filter down your documents. DocuWare has a very fast search time, no matter how many documents you have in there. Generally, searching can pull up a results list of hundreds of thousands of documents within a second. Besides having those categories, those different metadata fields, we also have full text searchability. So if I was looking for something in any of these documents that say had the word budget, or I could put something in quotes as a phrase, once I hit search, that's going to return every document with that in. I can open up a document here, and it will automatically jump to and highlight any instance of that document or of that word. So as far as the functionality that you're immediately looking for, this should be what covers that, and we can talk about this a little bit further in the slides. But are there any questions before I move to the slides? Okay.
Good to go.
Over the scan one, I think, right, Adam?
Yep. So the first point was you wanted to touch on was scanning. So at Metro Sales, we have a full document scanning department within our business. It's a secure location, so with anything, any sensitive documents, things like that, we'd be scanning, we can pick up and bring to our location. With the advantage there as well is that any scanning that our department does, we can scan all of that straight into DocuWare. So once the scanning department is going through that log, you'll immediately have access to those documents, immediately have access to search those through DocuWare. For your own scanning in the office, we can have a monitored file folder so that your scanner goes straight into DocuWare through a network folder, or scan to email and monitor an email where it would pull those documents in as well. As part of our deal, we did offer 20 free hours of scanning by our document services department and free scanning set up on your end, which is roughly a $5,000 value as far as what they can do from our scanning department.
Right. Yeah, so that scanning promotion, whether or not Metro Sales is, if we're lucky enough to work with you on DocuWare and not on the scanning, you would still have that 20 free hours. So, you know, if you want to use us to kind of get the project going, or however that might be used, we're willing to offer that no matter what.
What do you charge for if we outsourced our scanning to MSI?
Yeah, good question. It's typically what we try to do is get a sample, like a banker's box. We get that to our department and kind of look through the documents. Sometimes those documents are super straightforward and there's, you know, no staples or sticky notes. Those will usually kind of be in the ballpark of $150 a box. Sometimes you get those documents that have been, you know, beat up over the years and are pretty tricky and take a lot of time. Those will be a little bit more, but that 150 is a good ballpark to use. And then once we do that test sample, which is of course free, we can give you a more exact number.
Thank you.
So indexing, as we saw, Docuware learns all of your documents with machine learning for those common documents that you've stored multiple times or are storing frequently. The one-click indexing where you saw me go ahead and click a field there to pull it into these index fields, that will eliminate the need for most of your manual data entry of anything to find these documents. Docuware will color code everything that it's bringing in so you know what its confidence level is. So when you're bringing in a large batch of documents, you can just look through very easily and trust that it is bringing in all of that exact information.
Yeah, this indexing is a really powerful part of Docuware, and I think it separates it from a lot of other softwares because it really is taking away any human error. It's a big time saver because once you've gotten those documents in a few times, it's doing all that work for you. You can trust that what's scanning and being ingested based off the color coding you can see in that picture being green, it's good to go. And really because there's only a handful of documents that you're going to be looking at scanning in right away, I think this would be very applicable to what the city is trying to do from the get-go.
So with searching, again, we can tailor all those search dialogues to your team, what it makes it easiest for you to find documents, how you organize, how you want to find things. They can be as simple or complicated as possible for different users. Everyone can be able to access that. Again, it's really easy. Once you start typing in your different fields, it's going to filter it down, make it really easy to find those documents that you need really fast, as opposed to searching through file folders and knowing what files are named, things like that. The search makes it really easy to find those things or find things within a group as quick as you need to. We can have the keyword search. Again, we have full OCR text search across all of your documents. So anything that's typed in those that's legible, you can completely search through. If you're looking with other applications, Docuware has a built-in feature called Highlight Search, which allows you to highlight any text, say in your email or another application, hit a keystroke, and it'll automatically pop up a Docuware search with all of those things. So if you're working within your financial systems or anything like that, it makes it really easy to jump between things by hitting a keystroke on some text to search for it. And you'll see fast search speeds. This little diagram here at the bottom is one of our larger customers' report from the last 6 months, showing that basically all searches maxed out at about a half second per search.
Yeah, that highlight search is a really neat feature because, like Adam said, you can be in if you have a different ERP or different solution that you're kind of in day to day, and just have Docuware open in the background. You highlight it almost like a Control F kind of feature, and it's going to pull up everything there. So you have the way I like to look at it is Docuware is kind of always in the background, sort of the backbone of what your repository is going to be. And then that full text search, I kind of think of that one as like the Google search. If a lot of people do like to use like the document types and dates like Adam showed to really tailor something down, but that full text search, you could type in, gosh, if you go, God, I can't remember, it was, Dominic came in on, July 8th, and you can type that in and it's going to pull up everything associated with that right away.
So retention, we can tailor any sort of retention policies to your needs. We can have multiple automatic retention schedules so that if certain areas are 7 years, 10 years, forever, we can set up those schedules to allow you to automatically be able to delete or review documents when they hit their retention limit. We do have accidental deletion recovery. Everything is available at least automatically for 30 days. But can be retrieved if it's longer through us. All data is instantly backed up to 3 data centers across the US. So your data is always safe, it's always triple, it's always in all those locations so that you can always be guaranteed that it will be there for you. And it's always automatically backed up without any of your intervention, no need for IT to participate or anything like that. And the final piece you asked about was public portal. I know that was a future concern of yours. Currently, Docuware does not have its own public portal. What we had talked about with Ed was the ability that Docuware has. It has an open API for connecting to other softwares. We talked about some solutions on how Docuware could be able to share data and documents through another solution, or potentially this is a feature that's always on Docuware's radar as of recent. So I believe this will be something that will potentially be available in the future. But again, we have a lot of options where we can share your data through Docuware and through the API and come up with a great solution for you.
Perfect. Any questions on any of those slides? Anything we missed?
Just interactively for like, the employees working with it in terms of like assistive technology or ADA compliance, things like that. How does DocuWare work with like employees who might be using a screen reader or other technology?
So yeah, Mike Franzik here. So DocuWare is very keen on the assistance within DocuWare, and that's features that they're adding. So if you have a screen reader, DocuWare can utilize that. And there are also internal solutions in the pipeline that I believe they said are coming out as early as the end of this year to be part of that, whether it be for color blindness or other functionalities.
Okay, thank you.
My same questions just to get the same, so we get the answers from this group. So one of the questions is we have a lot of documents, most of our documents come in via email through Outlook. How do you have does DocuWare have a package or is it integrated to pull something straight from Outlook and scan and index it?
Yeah, with DocuWare, it has a connection to Outlook, so either you could automatically monitor an inbox and everything is pulled into the document tray straight from Outlook, or there is an Outlook button that opens up a little sidebar where you can store the email or the attachment, whether it is to the tray to be organized from there, or you can actually index it from that sidebar as well.
Okay. And then are you able to integrate with other programs such as our building permit program is Community Core? So we would want to be able to store all of those documents at one point through DocuWare or our scanning indexing system. Are you able to do that?
That program I'm not familiar with, but any program that has an API available, DocuWare's Open API should work with basically anything. Within our team here at Metro in Burnsville, we do have a developer who can make any of those connections and work with you to make those connections to different pieces of software. I know ArcGIS was one we talked with Ed about for a while, and I know that one for sure we can, but any programs that have an API available, should be able to work with.
Okay, and that kind of brings me in my next question, just so you guys know what he was just referring to. GIS mapping is the Esri we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We get property records through our two counties and they update them regularly. Do you guys have a way to pull from their systems to get the most updated property addresses, information, things like that when we're actually scanning these documents? So when we're looking for things or indexing things, you'll have that updated information?
Yes, we have worked with we have discussed it with another city and explored it as far as being able to pull those property IDs and such from ArcGIS and be able to create a database within DocuWare that gets updated, as well as if you needed the functionality of having every new document you stored with an address or property ID, being able to compare to a database to make sure that all of your documents are all meet the same standards and will all have those up-to-date IDs and match.
Is there an additional cost for these integrated features that you're referring to for the GIS mapping, the property records, integrating with Community Core, things like that?
It would be a cost to set it up. There would be no additional ongoing cost. It would just be the cost of making those connections with the software or our team working with your team to do that. So it'd be on an hourly basis as to what the project looks like.
And can you narrow your search results? One thing we've heard several times now is you can search anything and you can get all these results. Can you literally pick out like an address? Like I want 101 Main Street. Will I get everything with 101 in it or everything with Main Street? Or is there a way for me to pull that one record I'm looking for from all of our thousands of documents?
Yeah, if you're looking for something with those, multiple words that all you need in a row, with the full text search, if it's not something that's indexed, you're able to put that in quotes or use any of those kind of standard search operators. So you could search for those in that exact order if you search it within quotes as a phrase or a set of characters.
And I did forget to ask, on the Outlook integrated feature that you have with your Outlook button, is that additional cost.
No, that is part of the system.
Thank you.
Ben, I'll check with you.
I'm good here.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm looking at some information we got at our other meeting, and it looks like DocuWare, we pay per license and then pay per storage used. What, how much is it per license, and then how much is it, you know, for different batches of storage, and what is the size of those storage?
Yeah, so what the package that we quoted to you was for 7 users and the base level of 20 gigabytes of storage at $10,369. Depending where you're at as far as there's basically different package levels. So 4 to roughly 10 users fits in one package, and then 15 users is the next package, which kind of breaks even at 10 or 11 users. And then that also ups the storage to 50 gigabytes. The storage can be added, the storage and users can be added on a basis whenever you need to. So if you were scanning and you needed to add more storage as a project was being done, that can be done prorated to the term, or users could be added on during the term at any point and it was prorated to that. With the 7 users level you're at, an additional user is about $1,600 a year, and every 10 gig of storage is $245. And normally with 20 gig of storage with PDFs and DocuWare's, where the way DocuWare stores them, usually we estimate around probably 150,000 black and white pages per that amount of storage.
Do you have any like internal like forms or templates that say for employee use or whatever that somebody could just fill in and save, or do you guys not have that ability?
DocuWare gives you the ability to create forms for, would this be like for an internal form that they're submitting to someone, or what exactly was the use again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious about, I know the other company has like internal forms that can be used. So I was just curious about that. I would say like maybe for employee files, something to fill in information.
Yep. DocuWare has forms ability. It has a forms creator. Again, with kind of connected to the everything comes as part of the DocuWare subscription. You also have access on your end to do those kind of things. So if you wanted to create forms for internal things, you do have access to do that. You don't always need us to do those kind of things. But forms can be created both internal to collect information or to do workflows, as well as forms can also be created for public use as well. So cities use that for permits and things like that, being able to create a form that is submitted that would be then routed to a person for approval or things like that, or just be submitted to the file cabinet as well.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? You got a couple minutes left. Any other questions or anybody? You guys got a final, you got a couple minutes, I guess, so.
The closing done?
You know, I don't have a huge closing pitch for you. I know we'd really love to work with you. I think the opportunity would be a great fit for the city and partnership with Metro Sales locally and DocuWare. Based off the staff's feedback, I think they really did enjoy it. I know something we talked about is, depending on your time frame, we could really get this going as soon as the staff and Ed had availability. So if there's anything you feel we can help answer, please let us know. Otherwise, yes, I hope this was helpful, and we look forward to potentially partnering with you.
Okay. Look like it, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, here's my not bottom line, but my assessment here. And as far as the technology, I'm the last person you're gonna ask about that. But our charge at the council is to get the best bang for our buck, which doesn't always mean the cheapest. Staff has to work and live with this, wherever we go. So obviously their input should be our very high, maybe our highest priority. I don't know. I mean, we don't want to waste money either, obviously. My basic question is this, and this is very simplistic for me. I don't have all the knowledge in this area. Which one is the highest? I don't remember what it was.
DocuWare is
The highest, second one.
yes.
There was quite a bit different. What was it? Pretty significant difference, right?
64,000 plus extra for licenses and storage.
So here's my question.
If we add to it.
Yes.
I think it included 7 licenses.
Yeah, we have 7.
Yep. 7 licenses plus 20 gigs is what we have out the gate. It is, I think, over 10 years, it cracks 100,000 or gets
Yeah.
close.
Jenny's
107,000.
got the spreadsheet from 2 weeks ago.
Laserfish is going to be significantly cheaper. You do not charge, they charge based off population. So we're under 10,000, which is their limit for their packages. So we're getting a really good deal. Laserfish does have on-prem and cloud-based, but generally cloud-based is more expensive because you're paying somebody else to take care of your problems. Based off of the deal that Laserfish gives municipalities of our size, it's significantly cheaper and more advantageous to do cloud at this stage. So.
Assuming
Well, it kind
they
of
have
leads up to
proper
my,
security.
you guys, that would you think that either of these two would have, is there any room for negotiations that would say the low one would address something the high one has? Or obviously more money probably, or is there something the high one has that they could take away to bring their cost down?
Unfortunately not. DocuWare is what I would say the Cadillac of the document management. Well, it's not the Cadillac. There's more above it. There were other vendors that I looked at that were significantly more expensive than DocuWare. But when we're looking at the level that we're at, they're the Cadillac versus a Chevy.
Why do you say they're the Cadillac? Like what makes you feel that they're the Cadillac?
Their user interface is more customizable from my demos than Laserfish's is. They focus more on giving you what you need versus here's everything, you decide what you need.
My question, because I thought that was kind of odd, is that Laserfish is already set up and they have 6 million users. They have tons and tons of cities. So they already have it all set up for what cities want. And so how would we know best? Like how would we know how we want it built when this is all new to us and we haven't used it yet? Why wouldn't we go with somebody else who's super familiar with all these cities, who has all this experience, and all these cities are already set up? Why wouldn't we just want to go off there's a reason why all these other cities are using Laserfish.
Cost.
And why wouldn't we?
It
doesn't necessarily mean it's the cost, Ed.
It's a huge portion of it, and Laserfish was very upfront about that. They were very upfront about Laserfish caters a significant discount to municipalities, whether it be city, township, county. As long as you're under that population cutoff, you get a amazing discount. And Laserfish, specifically CT Access, and every meeting that I've had with them has made it very clear that no one else is going to beat them on pricing because Laserfish makes sure that no one else beats them on pricing.
Which I don't think is a bad thing. I mean,
No, it's not.
$64,000, that's a brand new pickup truck for the city or a squad car for the city.
Right.
So of the cities that DocuWare uses and Laserfish uses, did you contact any of them and get any feedback from any of them or find out what they love about it, or who have you talked to that's used?
Yes, so I did talk to the LMC user group. A lot of other cities had nothing but great things to say about it. Granted, now these are technology service managers, but they make use of every part of Laserfish. I don't think Laserfish is a bad product by any means necessary. The staff's issue with Laserfish is for them it seemed to be more difficult to use. And if you're using it every day, and we already have issues with staff struggling to use current softwares that we already have. Jen Edison from WSB was using Laserfish and they left. I don't know what product they're using now, but from Jen's experience, she stopped using it because it was difficult to use. It was difficult to find the data that she needed to use.
That's super odd because I called all the cities that were on the list and surveyed them.
Yep.
And I asked them, please tell me what you like and dislike about the software. Give me all your pros and cons. I want to hear it all. And is it easy to learn and use? I didn't call LMC. I wasn't even sure who to talk to when I got there. I can pass this around because I typed it up and I have enough copies for everybody if you want it. But at Seago, I talked to Barb. We love it. It is so awesome and easy to use. There's no learning curve. We use temporary files if needed, and you can drag and drop or print. I have no cons. New Ulm, I talked to a gal in HR. We've used it for several years and really like it. It's very easy to learn and use. It has a great file structure. You can easily move files. It sorts automatically, alphabetically for employee files, etc. They also have a lot of templates and forms that we use all the time for employee information. You can also create your own forms. Customer service and training is really good, and our IT staff never complains about it. Burnsville, Megan, we've been using it since 2013. It is fantastic. It's very easy and was easy to learn. They offer a lot of free training and additional paid training if needed. We use for paper and digital storage. It now has digital forms that we use a lot. There is no limit on users. We receive great support and help. They also offer great conferences. Make sure to separate public safety for BCA compliance. We use vendor OPG3. So there's different vendors. If you're not happy with the CT Access guide, we can research other vendors.
Yeah.
Ken Hassan, Jenny the clerk. We use it as a repository. We have an outside service scan most of our stuff for us. We like that the public has access. It's a good tool. We like it a lot and plan to continue to use it. Maple Grove, Brennan, formerly worked for Falcon Heights and they use the software as well. It's similar to Microsoft File Folder. It's easy to use. It's straightforward. IT sets it up and then the staff does the rest. We love it. Highly recommend. There were no issues learning and we have no cons. Coon Rapids, Adam, the IT guy. This is my third city as the IT manager. We've used it at all of them. There are no cons. It's super simple and powerful. You can create and use forms and program retention. They do a lot of lunch and learns that are great. This is the perfect time to get set up. Go with cloud solution right away, not on premise. It is the gold standard for cities. It is super popular for cities, so you can lean on them for help and ideas, and he offered to help us if needed. Highly recommend to use the vendor OPG3. Many cities use them and they are great. So I could have called more because a bunch of them gave me even more cities and recommended I keep calling if I want. But I felt that this was a clear representation of the experiences of other cities that use Laserfish. I didn't get a single concern, a single complaint, or an issue.
Did you survey cities that used other solutions?
I did not survey the 2 cities that use DocuWare. There's 2.
Okay, but there's other solutions as well. I guess I would say to the point that Ed was making, no one's going to have complaints about like the basic burger at McDonald's if that's what you're looking to do, but they have other burgers that can do more things. So if we're looking at like workforce solutions, there might be savings in terms of time spent by staff if we have like a workflow of something we're trying to accomplish, then Laserfiche isn't going to do that, because it's basically like a glorified way of organizing file folders and being able to assign scanning to
They
it.
have a workflow.
They do have workflows, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So, the difference between, at least from the demos, Laserfiche's workflows and DocuWare's workflows is DocuWare will pull data out of the documents once they've been trained or you set a template on them. Laserfiche is getting there. They're implementing a lot of AI to try to do that same thing. So they will be there eventually, but that is the big difference between the two right now.
And so what are we trying to do right now? Besides just document scanning, what is staff or the city trying to accomplish?
Well, I'll speak to that because
Yeah.
I've been sort of putting this in a budget and wanting to get this done. So right now we have literally a file room plus upstairs of building permits, planning commission packets, historical planning commission packets, historical EDA packets, historical council stuff.
Mhm.
And then you go downstairs and we have almost the same amount of, I'm gonna say crap.
Boxes.
Stored downstairs.
Mhm.
In order to, and then there's the whole concept of HR documents and personnel files and things like that.
Right.
So for me, as of right now, the goal of this project is to get us a system initially that can scan and index, that documents can be scanned and indexed into.
Right.
So that ultimately, in the event that we have a disaster, we can ensure continuation of business.
Mhm.
And that historically, documents that we need to keep on a permanent basis will then be no longer paper, subject to degradation and those types of things. Will be stored electronically, backed up 13 ways to Sunday. And when I worked at the county, ultimately from a permit perspective, which was what Stacy was getting at, we can create efficiencies because people can self-serve.
Right.
You link those parcel documents, building permits, say for Jenny's house. They're getting ready to sell and somebody wants to see when was it re-roof waxed, or when was, when was the septic inspected? When was it built? Shauna, before the 4th of July, had to pull a file that was, 3/4 of an inch thick to try to find whether or not a building permit was final.
Right.
Well, if that's all in a system that can be accessed through a public portal or through the GIS system, now people can, hey, it's midnight, I'm an appraiser, I'm in my jammies and my socks and I got a glass of wine and I can go onto the city's website and type in my address and look at all the stuff and I can do half my appraisal at midnight in my jammies.
Well, that's where Laserfiche has the public portal and they can integrate it right to our website, where DocuWare does not have a public portal.
So I have a question on that, because this actually, I didn't know this when we were initially had these meetings. So all of these things would be additional costs for Laserfiche, the GIS, the public portal, the mapping, the downloading addresses and documents, which I don't think that number was budgeted in your quote. Where in DocuWare, they were like, nope, it's included, nope, it's part of the package, it's the one thing, da-da-da. Now granted, the public-facing portal is not 100% there. Do we know if once they get the public-facing portal, is that going to be additional cost? And how can we get the cost of all these things that Laserfiche is saying is additional now that we know we want, but we don't know that cost?
I don't know. So they're in the,
They have the API development was going to be a cost based on putting that together, and I have to use that for like when I develop a website to be able to pull in another app. And like when my wife does posting photos online, she has to have that app added as a cost. And so they would probably charge for development of that. but then that's included going forward.
I don't think Laserfish is this, though, if I remember right. I think it's an additional cost to have it integrated into those systems.
I didn't hear him say that.
I wrote that down.
Some things are free, some things are free, some things are paid.
The things I specifically asked for, the GIS mapping, property records, putting addresses and downloading county data, it's additional cost for Laserfish.
Well, I think those are follow-up questions that we should follow up on.
They did say that it was an additional cost, but so did DocuWare.
But
They
DocuWare
said
said
it was
just
to create it.
So that's a good question.
But it's also hourly for them to do that. So what's their hourly rate to do that?
Yeah.
And then also so that would be one of my questions as well, is they said they don't have a public portal. They're looking at it, but is there gonna be a point where we wanna add it and then we're gonna have to pay for Laserfish anyways?
Right.
To add that portal in.
Laserfish, there's no charge to it.
Yes, but if we want to, if DocuWare doesn't come up with a public portal by the time we want one, that we can connect it to another option where we'd have to, I'm sure, pay for that other option as well to get that added in.
Right, my question is, why wouldn't we want a public portal right now? Ben's got his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, so I've dealt with some stuff like this through my work before, setting up a co-op company. We went with the biggest, the best. My only issue I'm seeing with this Laserfish is there was the add-on word was thrown out a lot. I have a feeling that could mean that, hey, we would like to do this. Well, yeah, we can do that for you, but it's going to be this much extra and this much extra. And by the end of the day, it might end up being twice what we're looking at paying for something else. That's just a concern. I know how those work. I've seen with other companies how that goes. And the word add-on can get scary.
So
we need to find out what
Yeah.
those
Can we go back to them and say, what is the
Absolutely.
additional cost?
Yep, I think we should. I mean, this is good that other people are hearing this type of thing.
Well, I just wanted to throw something quick in here. What is the anticipated lifespan of this? And I know it's probably a dark to go with, but there's gotta be something.
Well, it's not, I mean, frankly, assuming the company doesn't fail or go out of business, it's no different than the finance software that we've had for 30 years in this town. I mean, it's a matter of budgeting for and keeping up with the updates, which is why when we upgraded the finance software, it was so expensive because it was 2 upgrades in one fell swoop that could have been done previously and kept up with technology. So it's really a function of keeping up with the updates and also making sure that our file servers, if we host it on site, grow large enough to maintain the capacity that we need. So basically, this is unlike Mille Lacs County that changed some stuff, I don't see this as a solution that we're gonna wanna change in the middle of the stream. We're gonna wanna be happy with it. We're gonna wanna make sure it's got some expandability. I answered the first part of your question, Nick. Ultimately, with workflows, I'm gonna use our special event permits as an example. Or even better yet would be our solicitation permits. Someone applies to wander the city streets soliciting for selling roofing services or garbage services or whatever. Right now, Shauna gets those paper applications. Then they physically go over to the police department for backgrounding. A very simple workflow would be, hey, this company's out of Texas. They're gonna sell educational materials and they have so-and-so locally that's gonna do this. They could literally fill out a form online, submit it. It would electronically then go to the police department and then come back after it's been approved, go to the council agenda, and then it's approved and then it stays in the document storage system. And we're not dealing with paper. Ultimately, I think we would like to get there because again, more efficiencies, it gives the staff the ability, or the city the ability to allow staff to do more with less, more stuff with less staff. So that's kind of the second piece, but that to me is not as critical as getting our documents into an electronic storage system so that it can be accessed both internally and externally as appropriate, because the public doesn't have a right to get everything.
Well, here's where I was going, this was looking at, we don't know what, we have no number, I guess, to work with, but this cost difference is gonna be spread over a pretty significant period of time. So the financial impact may be very minimal, I guess is where I'm going. I don't know if anybody can answer that or not, but.
Yeah, I think that's what we were getting at, is if we can somehow get 1-to-1 as close as possible, a comparison of what we're working with to meet staff desire and city need. Then if the argument can be made that way, where DocuWare seems better and isn't as bad looking financially up front, maybe we could go with it. But if Laserfish is going to do the job and be more affordable, it's hard to argue with at the moment.
Right, well, and Michelle said we want something we're gonna be happy with
Right.
for a long time. I mean.
Well, yeah, we're not gonna take one down, we don't like it, let's do something else.
Well, right, but who do we ask? We ask 2 cities that use DocuWare, or we talk to hundreds that are using it.
So I will say that both products have a way to export our data using the API. Metro has built a custom application to just do it all in one fell swoop. But CT Access has made that clear that they will, if we want to export our data for any reason, they will work with us to get the data out using the API. So we're not, no matter how you look at it, our data isn't necessarily stuck once we put it into something. We can change down the road. We could change on a hairpin if we need to. Should we? No, but we can. So we're not exactly stuck. It's gonna cost us money to do, no matter which company we go with, they're gonna charge us to get the data out. That's just the nature of the beast of any cloud service provider. That being said, the data we put into it initially is gonna be very high because we don't know what we have. We don't know what, as we go through it, of course, we're gonna find stuff that's like, oh, hey, yeah, we can get rid of this right away, right? As both systems start to do their work, they're gonna notice that, hey, there might be duplicates. That's a problem, we gotta get rid of the duplicates. We might put stuff in there, and then all of a sudden the system goes, hey, wait a minute, this is covered under this retention schedule, we need to get rid of it. So initially, our storage use is gonna be very high, then we're gonna see a drop, and then we're gonna see it balance out. Take with that what you would like, but that's how it's gonna go no matter what system we choose.
I mean, unless the add-ons add up to $64,000. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me what I think we should do.
So I think we need to go back to Laserfish and try to figure out what those add-ins that were noted.
Yep. So, I wanna clarify the questions that we wanna ask. So I make sure that we're asking the same questions. We're getting the information that we want out, right? For integrations, we wanna know if there's a cost for the integrations and if the cost is ongoing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the initial cost, if there is one? And then is it covered under our annual cost, or is there does that bump our annual cost up?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And then you had a question about pulling data from the counties.
Esri, GIS mapping, property records, same type of thing. Laserfish stated there was an additional cost. DocuWare said there was an additional setup fee, but didn't necessarily say that there was an ongoing fee. So that would be a question to ask on both. Is there additional cost? Is there just an additional cost for that? Like, is it, or is it included? Because I thought it was included in DocuWare's.
And the purpose of that is so that as we index data by parcel ID, then we can have current, and we did this at the county, Mille Lacs County, we upgraded, or we made sure that those records in our document system had current owner addresses. So we actually had an automated process where once a month, the system would automatically go up to the county, pull down the data, and then it would be updated, because that's how often the county updates their property records based on deeds, you know, people, or like if somebody dies and they file an affidavit of survivorship, then the property owner changes. The husband or wife will drop off, and then whoever's left stays on.
That's pretty important. We did that in Wright County as well. ARM-based was the program we went with, which is way more expensive than DocuWare even. But that's super important to make sure that we're always having the updated information. So that's not even a silly GIS mapping. You don't want to ask them if they can automatically update that, and if there's a cost to that. Again, the cost thing. And then the public portal, if there's an additional cost. Now, we know that right now Laserfish has it and DocuWare is getting it, but does that mean Laserfish is gonna add more money for us to, do a public portal and have all these interactions with the public? Or is that included in the cost that they gave us, and is DocuWare gonna charge us when they get to that point?
My question would be, I feel like with the amount of documents that we have, how fast are we gonna go through that 20 gigabytes, and then are we gonna have to pay $245 extra per gigabyte per year? Or is it just as we get it?
Per gigabyte, it's $245 per 10 gigabytes per year at our current
Because he had
package.
said it was per gigabyte extra,
Per
per
10
240
It's
gigabytes.
per 10
gigabyte.
gigabytes.
$245 for every 10 gigabytes
Yes.
that we add.
Yep. So going back to essentially having a black box. Rough estimation, we have over 300,000 pages. Now, we know roughly what's there, but we don't really know what's there. So, we're guessing.
There's way more than that.
Well, and that was like, basically how we.
That was my intern using a ruler and going
Yes.
through every single cabinet and
That's exactly what
then
that was.
counting in one
Yep.
cabinet the amount of paper.
We believe so, but we don't know for sure.
Well, was that just file cabinets? That wasn't what was downstairs though.
I think that was just file cabinets, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just
Just file
upstairs.
cabinets.
That's
Yeah.
just upstairs. That doesn't count what's
The whole
downstairs.
So that's actually a really good question. So are you saying then that Laserfish was saying that we have unlimited gigabytes, like we have no storage restrictions at all?
I don't wanna use the word unlimited. They use the word unlimited, but their definition.
I
of
think that's a
unlimited-
question that you need to
That's,
ask.
that's a huge
Yes.
question.
Well, that's what the other cities were saying, is you get tons of
Yes.
storage.
But
So,
tons is that,
Tons.
what, same, I mean, I know what tons is, so.
The other thing so we would have to send out all of those documents down to Metris MSI for scanning.
Not necessarily.
no,
So,
You need to pay them to do it?
So
for
this
us?
But
is-
they come with 20 hours of free scanning, but they said that's based out of MSI. Do they come here to do that, or do we have to send all of these documents that are old and fragile?
well, we would start with upstairs first, because then that frees up stuff from upstairs. So we could theoretically move stuff from downstairs. And one of the things we have to do is, like Stacy was talking today, there's like rolled up plans. Okay, well, if it's a conceptual design for something that's never been built,
Yeah, we're
we're not gonna scan it.
no.
I mean, so there's some purging that we have to do and basically, so this is part one. Part one is figuring out which software we're gonna stuff this stuff into. Part of that, because we have a relatively big number of dollars yet this year, that this is not, first part is not gonna eat up all that. We have dollars that we are gonna do what's called an RFP to actually do scanning. Now, when I did the big project for Mille Lacs County, they literally brought a construction trailer in and brought scanners in and scanned on site. No, not necessarily. That's ideal.
I did that as a temp worker for Benton County.
Yeah. Woo, I bet that was fun. So as, you know, another alternative would be is, can we find, you know, depending upon what we're scanning, can we look at, you know, maybe we don't hire a company to do it. You know, the PC agenda books might be easy enough for someone to, you know, we hire a retired mom or whatever.
An intern or
An
a
intern.
college student.
Or a college student.
I mean, 20 hours at $15 an hour for an intern or whatever, that's $300.
Yeah.
That is nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing. They claimed it was worth $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have
then after that,
estimates from all the
$120
quotes, but
per
they're,
box, per baker box.
this
as
isn't
long
part
as it doesn't
of
have sticky ends or
the
staples.
conversation.
Yeah.
We made this
So,
very clear.
you know, and part of the things is like Ed said, there's, and we did it with college age students in the county when we did the zoning stuff. Because we had to move the recorder's documents a lot more quickly, we did hire an outside firm to do it. But, you know, there are some things that we can evaluate whether or not we can, you know, do it as an intern's project or whatever, but, and we can budget. I mean, it's gonna take us a long time to get through 300,000 pages. I mean, this is a multi-year scanning project. Just because there's that much volume and part of it is gonna need staff to do a little purging and making some determinations about whether or not something needs to be scanned or not, especially what's in the basement.
And determine what's applicable to what retention schedules as set by the state. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of documents we still have that we don't need.
Well, for example, Sean and I tossed personnel records that we literally had personnel records for people that had left the city's employment 15 years ago. I mean, even the bond books that we had, they didn't need to be kept. The bond books that were neatly bound went to George Eilertson because he wanted them for his personal life.
I would imagine if there's been a required timeline, but once that's passed, they should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But this, you know, I will say that, I mean, other than maybe some of the stuff that Karen handled, but even then, there's personnel files that she's got that should have been probably destroyed already. You know, this city needs to get in the habit of doing annual purges and making sure that stuff gets tossed. Because I'm 99% sure that we're holding stuff in the basement that we don't need to be keeping.
Do we have a timeline on when we make a decision which way we go with something?
I mean, we'd like to.
Once we go, then this could be a multi-year project.
This will be a multi-year project. The implementation of the software will happen this year if we make a decision, but the scanning piece of it is gonna be multiple years.
I have more confidence in the effectiveness of DocuWare for that than Laserfish in terms of being able to efficiently go through with computer learning and start getting something going with that versus the typing through for Laserfish you can maybe get 3 pages of a document and separate it that way, or they didn't seem to mention an effective way for it to be recognizing what kind of documents are coming through.
Maybe that's a question for the Laserfish to follow up on.
Because if we're having to go through and you can't batch scan so much as.
Well, you're not gonna be able to batch scan a parcel file anyway, because we're gonna wanna have, again, I'm gonna pick on Jenny, you know, if she's got a permit for when the house was first constructed, and then, how long have you lived in your new house?
24 years.
Okay, so, you know, and I know you had hail damage, so you had a permit, so you're gonna want a separate permit, you're gonna want a separate document within that file folder, one for the new house construction, you're gonna wanna have one for the hail damage repair, you're gonna wanna have the septic permit separated out as a separate document, so
You can actually batch, what he's saying is, well, I think you guys talk about you can actually batch scan and so the one program that they were talking about is it's actually going to pull out and you can index it in that batch digitally versus having to go, this piece of paper goes in this pile, this piece of paper goes in this pile, and then scan them all separately. What DocuWare has is bulk scanning and bulk indexing. So you actually scan like a huge pile of papers in, and then digitally you can index each one to the proper location.
They had the word back scanning on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know what
On-base-
terminology I'm
On-base
using anymore.
does that too. I don't know if they.
And permits will be a pain because you're gonna have umpty 2 million inspection sheets.
Yep.
Attached to each permit,
Yeah,
so you have to take staples out and.
Well, that's with MSI's quote quote on scanning, they're factoring in time to remove paper clips, to remove staples.
Right.
If the document's fragile, how much extra time does it need to handle and then try to put that back together for us, and then we can do whatever we want. That being said, DocuWare is only offering that as a way to get us started in using the system and get used to, the indexing, get used to the searching, pre-set up some of our retention schedules and actually get them in play. So that's why they're offering that.
And to entice us to get the service to have them do the job.
That too.
But we could shop for someone else for that.
Right, 20 hours is not much.
Yeah.
So it sounds to
I
me
mean, it's a nice offer.
Yeah.
the $64,000 difference here may not be a real accurate number. In other words, there could be some,
Well, I
that
think,
could be brought, hopefully closer together.
yeah, I think this conversation raised some good questions that we need to go back to the vendors on. And once we get those answers, I would like to get something in place, at least get the software in place and get, even if it's just, we just start, dumping and think about using the extra money to hire a fall intern or a winter intern that can use the copier or whatever to scan some of what I'm gonna call the low-hanging fruit.
Mhm.
Agenda packets from the EDA, the Planning Commission, that were printed and hard copied, and they can very easily go in a document and then get indexed and whatever. So that's all I'm looking for basically, and we're not in a hurry to do that. It would be nice to, like I said, get a software package picked and installed and start to implement it.
Well, I think we've got a hatch over pretty good, I guess, in my mind. But we need to get this different number more accurate to start with.
Well, it's gonna be hard too, though.
Well, no matter
we can-
how, but cheapness, and I've lived long, I'm not talking about public specifically. I've lived long enough to know the cheapest isn't always the best. The staff has to live and work with this, whatever we implement. So to me, their input is probably more important in my.
Well,
opinion,
and-
so.
Maybe, it's not unheard of. Who's one of the closest cities?
I think for.
Otsego, you said, right?
Otsego.
Otsego uses lasers.
That's what I'm saying, is, maybe if that's the concern, that Laserfish is hard to utilize, let's take a road trip.
Absolutely, yeah.
Take Shauna and Mary Lou, who are gonna be the bulk of the users.
Yep.
And go meet up with Barb and see how it works in real life.
Yeah.
It's different than, a vendor is gonna tell you what they think you wanna hear, as opposed to, let's go visit Barb in Otsego one day and say, hey, can you show us what you do? And hey, can I sit in your chair and you can walk me through it and show me,
Absolutely. And in terms of the vendor, MSI is the vendor that we chose for DocuWare because they're the closest. I asked Laserfish for their recommended vendor and they gave me CT Access. So.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the other cities I talked to, they love OPG3. So, I mean, and maybe it's a city preference, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's who they said most cities use OPG3, and we all really like them. They
Yep.
do lunch and learns and all kinds of stuff, so
And it's absolutely.
maybe that's one you wanna reach out to.
We could reach out to OPG3 and get a quote from them.
Mhm.
That's like I said, the only reason CT Access is involved is because I asked Laserfish.
No, I understand,
you
that's
know, who
fine.
do you recommend?
But maybe they're not the best vendor,
Absolutely.
maybe if everybody else loves OPG3, maybe that's the route we go. And I get what you're saying, Jack, that sometimes the lowest price isn't always the best. But what I'm saying is the recommendations and the not one single complaint from all these cities, that says a lot to me, 6 million users. And all these cities are
What I'm
using
hearing
it.
to there's more to it than just that. I mean, you're gonna get an opinion from any individual, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying it, but it's just one component of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I personally can't make a decision, and this stuff is all over my head, I'll tell you. But I understand dollars and cents and whatever, but I'm not gonna make a decision based on this number alone.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make me say yes or no either way.
The feeling that I got too from what they showed and the things that they said is I feel like the DocuWare is just a little behind the times versus Laserfish. Especially with the part where they still don't have a public portal. And I think having the public portal is gonna save a lot of staff time from pulling papers and stuff, so.
You got anything to add, Ben? I know you're attentively listening, I can tell that.
I mean, that, again, it's the, what they're gonna offer for add-on cost stuff. So they, the ability to allow the public to come in and view all those documents and stuff, is that an additional cost, initially set up, or is that gonna be an increased yearly thing? Is it based on users or how many files are opened, or, kind of goes for both companies, not necessarily just them, but I everything looks sparkly with them, but I do just caution to question the word add-on.
I guess, this $64,000 number here is not.
It's the $64,000
not accurate. No, wait, not accurate. It's a big number, but I can't base my decision on that alone.
I would say if we can go back to them, see what all their add-on costs are for both of them, what the DocuWare, what their hourly rate is for getting the setup done.
Yeah.
And then also with Laserfish, what is their additional cost for all these things?
Tell us what you're gonna charge to do the job. Actually tell us.
I will.
The extra licenses and storage, we have to keep that in mind too.
Yes, yep. Community Core, because it's owned by Minsbat, or.
Safe
Thank you, Safe Build. Seems like it's a fairly new product. I don't know if they have an API yet, but,
They do.
they do, okay, good. In talking with staff.
We talked to that when we started with them.
Perfect. We do have a workaround if the API is not going to be, reasonable, I guess is the word I want to use. So, that's gonna kind of be the black sheep, but the Esri, importing county data is gonna be a good one to go after.
The staff, do you think you have enough direction?
We do, and we appreciate the conversation. I think it brought to light some other things we have to consider. So we'll do our due diligence and bring it back when it's appropriate.
Yeah, and being there's no really hardcore timeline, it's not.
No.
You're trying
No,
to do
It's
your.
not official. It's just because we want to get it rolled out sooner
Yeah, I
rather
mean,
than later.
sooner the better, yes, but
Yeah.
we're not gonna just throw it on the shelf and forget about it.
No,
Lot of
no.
paper to go through.
Yes.
Lot of staples to remove.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay, anybody else got anything? Not all.
Not if you wanna get out of here. It's okay.
I'll take the motion of the day.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Motion a second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? We are